Right about now. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 90 of Mirrorless Minutes. And neither one of the three gentlemen at the bottom of the screen are Mike Banning. Mike is in Vegas. I think he caught something. What do they call that this time of year? It's March Madness. He's there, I guess, watching basketball with his kids. Pretty cool idea. But the diehards are here tonight. You guys not sports fans? Is that the deal? I've got Matthew Quinn, Frank Kendralla, and Jeff Sweet. Those are the guys lining the bottom here. That's my team tonight. So first, I guess, welcome aboard, guys. Welcome on the show. Glad to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
And you guys are all over the place right now. So where are you checking in from, Matt, so everybody knows?
Eagle Lake, Minnesota.
Eagle Lake, Minnesota. Hence the rustic cabin. Everybody's commented on his digs. We're all a little jealous right now. We all wish we were in a cabin. And then in the middle of my display, anyways, is Frank Kendralla. And Frank is checking in on the road, right?
Yeah, I'm in Tennessee this week, and normally I'm out of Pittsburgh.
Normally out of Pittsburgh. Nice. And then last but not least is Jeff. And Jeff is really close to where we all met each other for the first time. And that is where, Jeff? Where are you at right now?
San Jose, California is home for me. So about 60-ish miles from San Francisco.
Nice, nice. So for those who don't know, and for those who didn't get the memo, all three of these gentlemen were a part of the Olympus Superfan experience that was put on in San Francisco in February by Olympus, where Olympus brought in a whole slew of people, I think 10 from all over the country, to hang out and shoot and play with gear and just have a good time. And Mike had on the last episode or 2 episodes ago, Vicky and Megan, who were also there. So it's my turn to host a couple of people while Mike is away. And again, I just want to say before we even get going, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your evenings to do this. And let's start off with, I'm going to start off with Matt because Matt's on my left here. So Matt, just tell us a little bit about yourself, like how long you've been shooting, what kind of stuff you like to shoot.
I've been shooting since like 2000. Yeah, this camera's actually. My first DSLR was like an E500.
Same here.
So yeah, and I do a lot of, I do a lot of drone photography too. So.
Nice. And like I told you before we got on the show that drone photos are welcome, of course, because they're mirrorless cameras as well. So what kind of stuff do you like to shoot? I'm assuming with drones, are you shooting landscape or do you shoot like architectural stuff with that too, like cityscapes?
Sometimes cityscapes, but usually, usually landscape.
Yep.
Landscapes are the funnest.
So is Eagle Lake, Minnesota, is that more of like a rural, like kind of a countryside pastoral setting?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's 2,000 people.
Nice.
That's rural.
Very good. All right. And I'll move over next to Frank because Frank is in the middle of my lineup here. So Frank, a little bit of background on yourself.
Sure. I originally started. Hey, Mike.
Mike's
hey,
here.
How are you?
All right.
Did I mess you up?
Hey, Mike.
No, not at all.
I'll just here. I'll see if I can. Too bad. I don't know. The fountain's not going off right now, but that's the Bellagio fountain, and I didn't go to Paris. If that's what you're wondering, I don't know if you can see the Eiffel Tower there, but yeah, I just wanted to say hi. So I had to keep the streak going, Jamie.
Hey, your signal's way better than what I had in Long Beach, dude.
yeah, that was pretty bad. That was outside though. This is at least at a hotel.
True.
You got everybody on, it looks like?
Yeah, everybody's here jamming.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, hey, I'm going to let you go. I literally just walked in my room and I'm unpacking. Okay. So you guys have a great show. Guys, thanks for standing in. Hey, all right?
Yeah, have fun out there, Mike.
All
See you, Mike.
Take it easy, guys. See ya. Bye.
All right. So I originally started shooting many, many years ago back in the 70s. And then I kind of, gave it up for a little bit. And back in 2001, I started back and then immediately jumped into digital back then. Played around with a lot of different things. Shot Nikon for years, full frame, the whole deal. I've covered a lot of events, weddings, did some landscape work, which we had fun out in San Francisco. But for me, I love portraits, events, that kind of stuff. Just really passionate about it. And so I shot professionally, many different weddings. And then about a few years ago, I started playing around with Olympus along with my Nikon gear. And then when the EM1 Mark II came out, 100% over to Olympus. Nice. I sold everything, and I have a full line of Olympus stuff. So
cool. Yeah. So just real quick before we move on to Jeff, you shot dual system for a little while there. What was your gateway drug into the Olympus brand? What did you start off with?
The EM5, the original one. I bought it used, and a 17 millimeter. I got the silver, and in fact, I got the pen like that now. But I got a silver EM5 and a 17 millimeter. And I added, the 60 millimeter macro. But I was using that for all my macro work at weddings. And then I picked up another mirrorless. And then, like I said, when the EM1 Mark II came out, I bought 2 of them, and I was full win.
Nice, cool.
Yeah, I love it. It's sweet.
All right, Jeff, how about you, man? What's your story? Give us a little background here.
So I've had compact cameras, took some black and white film photography probably in the early 2000s, but never really was serious into photography until 2014 when my wife and I were going on our honeymoon, and I was like, I really want to have a nice camera. I want to, record it and really, take it seriously. So I did the research I like to do, and ultimately I settled on the Olympus, and I started with the EM1. So my first one was the EM1. I picked up the 12-40, and that's what I took with me with, some filters over to Italy and shot there for, 2 weeks and several thousand photos. So that was kind of my start, and that was, 2014.
Yep. And then if you had do you have a primary focus in what you shoot? Is there something you prefer to shoot more than other things, or are you just an all-in-one?
No, as my wife says, I like to do it all, and I get excited by all of it. I go out and do landscape. I like night shots. I've really been enjoying street photography. I had an opportunity to shoot the Chinese New Year parade in San Francisco here a few weeks back. And that was probably one of the funnest few hours of shooting I've experienced, just because I was right in the middle of everybody and all the action coming by. My wife actually got to come with me. I got press passes, and we were both right there shooting. So it was a great time. Wow.
So press passes for that. What does that mean? I mean, because when I think of a celebration like that, I would just assume that everybody could walk around with cameras, but did the press pass allow you to be in the street during the parade or something?
Exactly. So they had an area for photographers that had a few different zones set up, and we were in the zone. And then we actually asked hey, can we move over here? Because we were right across from where the announcers were. And so everybody was coming up and turning and facing the announcers, and where they have the photographers, we were kind of backs to us, and they let us kind of switch sides. And so we got pretty much everybody, and they were pretty free with allowing us to get right up next to all the performers as they come by. It was a great time.
Cool. Sounds like a pretty wild time. Chinese New Year in San Francisco has to be cool.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. I enjoyed it.
Nice. So I want to circle back around to Matt. I think this is kind of the format I'm going to do, if you guys don't mind. I'll just kind of loop through, with some questions and just kind of get feedback from you guys on things. But so I wanted to talk to Matt a little bit about the San Francisco experience. And just for those of you out there who, if anybody's curious about seeing some of the images that were captured by these gentlemen here or the other members that showed up for that event, it's easy to do a search on Instagram or Twitter, maybe on Flickr. I'm not sure where else everybody put their pictures, but the hashtag is capturing San Francisco. And you can just see the incredible work that everybody here created on that event. But I wanted to ask Matt, what he thought about the event, what were some of the takeaways from that, what he had fun with, what he got to do that was kind of new and exciting for him.
Well, I'd never been to San Francisco before, that was cool. And I'd not even done any, photo trip thing like that. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, it was, like I said, it was is this real email or not, that whole thing. So yeah, I had a blast.
Nice. I know. So, so having never been on a photo trip, something that was specifically just to take pictures, how did you know what to bring? Because you brought something different than I think anybody else brought too, and we'll talk about that as well. The drone.
Yep.
But so how did you know what to pack for this? What prompted your process?
Well, I always bring that. That's just going. I don't care. Even if I couldn't fly it, it's coming, But yeah, I just had my EM1 and my EP3 and the lenses that I have.
Yep.
And I just use the old school 4/3, with the adapter. That's because I've had them for so long. So
right. So did you pack like everything you had? Did you put all your stuff in bags and bring it, or did you choose to not bring a few things specifically?
well, yeah. I mean, I brought my littlest tripod and stuff like that, and it was basically what I was going to use, for
Right.
a trip like that. So
see, that can be dangerous because I'm pretty well known, at least among all the people who shoot with me regularly, to bring everything that I'm going to use and then find out that that's like 20 pounds more than I actually do end up using. So did you use everything that you brought?
oh yeah.
Well, then I'm going to have to talk to you after the show and figure out how that works because I don't ever seem to do that. And my back pays for it. And I know we carry the lightest gear around, but that just means I carry all of it, which is probably not the smartest thing. So what about you, Frank? Just a little bit of takeaway from, your experience there, like what you thought of the event, maybe some cool things that you got to do that you were excited to be able to participate in.
Well, I mean, it was amazing. Like we could go on and on. I think we all have, but I want to just point out that Olympus was amazing. I mean, we were picked up at our homes in a limo, taken to the airport. And then when we get to the airport, we're picked up in a limo, taken to the hotel when we get to meet everybody. So that in itself was amazing. Okay. And then it wasn't just some small hotel. We had a great place. So that part was amazing. The folks from Olympus and everybody else that helped, they were top notch. It was excellent. I just really want to put that up first. It was great food. I mean, if anyone really knows me, I don't eat a lot. We ate a lot this couple of days. So, but anyhow, I took my EM1. I just took one with me, which is odd. I would normally take two, and I brought the 12-100, and I think I brought a macro and a couple other lenses, but not too much. But I'm not used to it. I'm like you, bring too much and then not use it. But the thing that I picked up beforehand was one of the other folks that were going with us was one of those little platypods. And it was literally a last minute purchase. And it really paid off when we went down to your woods because I was able to use it for some slow batting when we were up at the hotel, get some water images and things like that. Even though we had the tripods, but where we were going to put it, it was in the way of people, or we were having issues like when they'd walk on the bridge, it was shaking it. So I just put the platypod on the post, and it got some really nice stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah, and that in a polarizer. Yeah.
Yep. That's a good tip, though, the platypod. It's funny. I hear so much about those, and every time I see one, I think, man, I don't know about that. It just doesn't seem like it would be, worth the purchase. But I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that they got one and didn't like it. So I guess a pro tip from Frank and everybody out there that's got one that keeps recommending them. Maybe I need to start looking at the platypod.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was the same as you. I said, man, what's the value of this? So I had an old ball head from another tripod that wasn't using it. And like I said, it literally was the last minute, like the day before. Yes.
I've got a spare.
I put it together and I clipped it to my vest as we were walking around. I can't believe how many times I used it. I used it when we were down Baker Beach, when we were up on the overpass. So we got some night pictures. I used it quite a bit, a lot more. And since then, I've actually used it quite a bit too.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I got the little one. I think it's called Ultra or whatever the little one is.
Okay. So that's kind of more geared towards mirrorless, or is it just that it's smaller and that's...
Well, it is for mirrorless. There's the big one. It would be for the heavier cameras, the bigger lenses, and it has a little feed on it and things like that. So yeah, okay. It was well worth the purchase. Yes.
Good to know. Good to know. All right. So what about you, Jeff? You drove the furthest, right?
Yeah. I'm the one that didn't take a plane. I drove up and took my truck and parked it there at the Hilton. So, which worked out good because I brought everything and then some.
Yeah, and it was nice that you had your truck because you toted some of us around to some great spots to shoot. So
yeah, that worked out well. We were able to get before and after activities, the official activities started. I liked going out to Treasure Island or up to Hawk Hill and doing some sunrise sunsets. So I think I was up every morning early hauling people. I enjoyed that. For me, besides the meeting everybody, the actual photography part of it and viewing San Francisco, kind of how everybody that came viewed San Francisco and shooting it, really made me kind of get a renewed appreciation for where I live. And because I work there, so I'm there pretty much 3 or 4 days a week, going out to Chinatown, going to the areas that I'm at every day, but I kind of take for granted, I guess, in a way. So really that was probably one of the most enjoyable parts for me.
Yeah, that's definitely something that that I could see how you would appreciate, seeing everybody else's reactions to what you see every day, and I can totally understand and sympathize with how that worked out for you in that regard. And you literally work just like a block or two down from where we stayed, right?
Yeah. My office is 2 blocks from where we are at the Hilton, and which is right across the street from Chinatown, which is where I actually got some of the shots I'm going to share today.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I can just use what you just said as a segue into maybe like the next segment per se, of this episode, where we do a screen share, because I know that's one of the things, at least for those who watch the show, that those people appreciate the most, is being able to see what other people are doing. And we'll start off with that same order as well. I'll start off with Matt, if Matt wants to kind of queue up his images, and then we'll all just mute ourselves, and I'll shut up, Matt. I'll stop talking, which is amazing. My wife doesn't believe it happens, but it does. And I'll just let you talk about your images, and just explain what you were using. Just talk about your photos, man. That's what people want to see.
All right. Boom. There's downtown there. That's right from our hotel. Is it working? Did I lose you guys?
Oh, no, but I just muted myself so I wouldn't take your photo away. But go ahead. Yep, it looks good, man.
Oh no! Keep your songs. Like, did it work? Yeah. So this is downtown. I mean, this is a high composite. I mean, if you zoom in, you can see the ships back there and stuff like that. Here is Alcatraz. I did this one in black and white. I used my 14 to 54, the old Micro Four Thirds with a circular polarizer, and just it's like 3 images, panorama stitched together. So, and here's Mirrored Woods coming in. This is three images as far as auto exposure bracketed, and I merged those in Aurora HDR. Here's the Golden Gate. This is at the Baker Beach. And here's that first night we were there. Jeff brought us to this place that had a great lookout. I don't have a picture of that right here, but as we were coming back, I kind of wanted to do a live, and trying out the 25 1.2, wanted to try that out and see how that worked. And, it's a 4-second composite, and I like the way it looks. Here's Baker Beach. It kind of lands in there, as far as the, into the thing there. And this is from the drone, of course. So yeah, there you go.
All right. No, don't close them out. Don't stop. So go back to the first image of the San Francisco skyline that you said was shot at the hotel.
Yeah.
Now, that was with the drone, right?
Oh yeah, that's with the drone.
Okay. I was gonna say, because you said it was shot from the hotel, and I'm like, dude, okay, how did you get access to
No. This is from the drone. I was at the hotel. I took off from the hotel.
Okay, so I'm really intrigued by this, because when you zoomed in, you could make out the ships really well in the background. They didn't look pixelated and poor like you would expect from a small camera, like on a drone. So how do you do this? What did you do differently here? Did you use some software to up-res the images, or?
No, this is, it's a way huge image. It's like 20,000 by 10,000. I mean, I manually put it together. I mean, it's 2 top and bottom stitched together kind of thing.
Yep. So how many images about do you think that it took to make that?
20.
Holy smokes. Okay.
Yeah.
And
And it's 20, and they're each 3 of them are they're auto exposure bracketed each one too.
Dude.
So there's probably 60. Yeah, that's a big image.
Well, that's cool. So see, and that's kind of what I wanted to kind of squeeze out of you as far as information goes, about doing something like that, because that is a perfect example of outside the box thinking. Most people think about images and just, you know, taking the photo, or if they're kind of going out and doing something a little more advanced, they might be auto exposure bracketing, or they might do like a 3 or 4 shot panel and then put that together. But you're taking, you know, that next step, and then that next step again and putting it together, and then taking it up to an even higher step up by bracketed shots, 20 of them, merging to HDR, and then stitching them into like this massive cool panel. And that's just, I just want to mention that so that people start thinking like bigger picture. And when I say bigger picture, I don't mean more megapixels. I just mean think bigger picture as far as what you can do with the tools that you've got that most people don't think about normally. So something that that I've been doing lately that I don't know that I've talked about it much on the show or not, but so we've got high res mode on our Olympus cameras. So I will manually shoot a high res mode shot, and then I will bring it down underexposed by 2 stops, and then shoot a high res mode shot, and then overexpose it. So then you've got 3 high res mode shots bracketed for an HDR. And then I start doing panels, and I've got a shot from San Francisco that's like that, which it's kind of ridiculous to spend the amount of time I did on that for a picture that's just almost computer melting and processing to put it together. But again, it's cool to do things like so far beyond the norm. And you're doing that at a couple 100 feet up in the air with a drone. So I just want to say, dude, it's super cool that you did that. I like that. And I hope you print that off big, man, because it'll look cool.
Well, that was the plan.
Nice. Yeah.
Hey, Matt, what's the file size on that final image in full size?
I'd have to look at it. It's probably like 50 megabytes. I'd have to look. I mean, it's just huge. I mean, you could see the traffic on that little whatever that is.
That is so cool, dude. Nice. You're inspiring me to think outside the box with my drone. So very cool stuff.
All right.
All right. So let's swing over to Jeff next and see what Jeff's got to serve up here. Oh, I'm sorry, Frank. If I go in the proper order that I was saying I was going to go on, we'll go to Frank next. Sorry.
All right. So let's screen share this. All right, you see that okay?
No, I see you.
Still see me?
And don't sweat it because everybody runs into technical difficulties. There we go. Now we're cooking, okay. So I'll mute myself.
All right, so this one here was when we went down to Baker Beach, and it was actually one of my favorite images that I took down there. And so this was processed, I had a polarizer on, and you'll see it was the EM1 Mark II, and I had the 12-100, which is an amazing lens. I remember when it came out, I pre-ordered it or ordered it right with the EM1 Mark II, and I'm just amazed every time I use it what it will do and the detail it provides. And then it was shot at, like I have on there, f7.1, 1250 of a second. I had a polarizer on there, which kind of cuts some of the glare. There's still some glare, but this was one of my favorite that I did down when we were down on the beach. And so that's where that one was from. And then this one here was just pulled back slightly, so it's the same direction. And then there were kids and stuff playing on the beach. So this is at f10, 1/1000 of a second. See, as you see up on the screen. So I liked it because it just showed the whole scene of it, and sort of like you do your tight shot, you get some wide and things. But I enjoyed it because of the kids were playing, and it just was a nice image. I had a couple others that I really liked, but there was like people jumping around in front of the camera, so I didn't show those. This one was when we went down to Treasure Island, the one night, and I don't know if you can see it okay. But this is the one blue hour. The sun was setting on the opposite side where we started, and we just turned around and we ran over to this other side of the get the backside of the bridge here. And I just love the colors. Again, I used a polarizer on this one, had it on a tripod, obviously. And I don't know, I just like the way it came out. And then this one was Jeff took us up the next morning. So the first morning when we were get to San Francisco, we went up as a group to overlook the city. And then the next morning we went back. So the first morning was very foggy. We just got tips of the bridge and stuff. But so we went back the next morning. And so we were actually wrapping it up. And I have many other images that I took that I really liked. But the reason I chose this one was because we were literally walking back to the truck and turned around, and the sun was to me, it looked perfect. So I quickly grabbed a shot. So it wasn't on a tripod. I just turned around and shot the image. So that was that one. And then, so this one was again back on Treasure Island. So we had got a ride over to Treasure Island, and so I was walking towards, the city there. Or the edge of the beach, and it just looked different. It wasn't what I would say San Francisco looked like, and so I thought it was kind of cool there. But this was one of my favorite because I'm not typically a street photographer in the sense of that. But right after I took the other, I saw these two here. This guy on a bike, he was waiting, so I called it Phone Home, and I just thought it was kind of cool, and it just kind of happened. But so those are some of the ones that I took. I had so many that were just that I really enjoyed, but those I just really wanted to share.
So I got a question. You have several silhouette shots in there. Now, is that something that you shoot a lot of outside of that trip, or did you kind of just see something in the light there that kind of drew you towards shooting silhouettes? Because it's one of those things that I love a silhouette shot, and for some reason I just can't see them when they're right in front of my face, so I don't ever get them.
Yeah, so to answer your question, so for me, yes, I look for images that are either reflections, like in a mirror, shadows, silhouettes. I try to shoot more of that. Like if I'm shooting an event or wedding, I go for that, almost like the dramatic type of look. So yeah, I was kind of looking for that.
I like the framing on that Phone Home shot too, with the post on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Love that.
Thanks. Yeah, so
No.
that was fun. And then go back to this. For me, I'm just going to go back real quick. This was one of those images where, we always hear it, but it says turn around and look the other direction, because the sun was setting beautifully on the other side. I have some nice images, but some of the folks got some amazing images. But I just turned around, I just saw the sky turning perfect blue. And so I just really liked the way that one looked.
Now, is that a single shot? That's just one exposure?
Yes, that was just one exposure, yes.
Nice. That was beautiful.
Yeah,
and I missed out on that. I did not go and shoot the Bay Bridge, and I saw shots like yours coming out, and I'm like, holy cow, like, why did I not turn around and go the other way? I'm constantly preaching turn around during the sunset. I'm constantly teaching that.
Yeah.
I didn't do it myself.
Yeah, so I like that one, and so I'll use these for different things, like sending cards and things to people. So I got some fun ones. I really like them. But
nice.
Again, this was my favorite. I keep going back to it. I don't know why. It just came out nice. And then I'll put a pitch out there. This was processed in Luminar.
It's got a very painterly feel to it. It's definitely art for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, what you got, buddy? The local. So we get to see how the local sees his town from a tourist perspective, I guess.
All right. How's that looking?
Looks like fun. It looks like street shooting, which is something I totally cannot do.
Well, and that's what I'm really trying to start to get into more, is doing some street stuff. Plus the lenses, the new, I didn't have this. I used the 17 1.2, and I hadn't used that focal length before. So it really lends itself well to street shooting. So on this one, I was standing just across the street waiting for, a break in cars. And this guy was kind of standing there posing. To me, it looked like he kind of just stepped out of the wall. And I processed this both in black and white. And when I first shared it, I did it as a black and white. And I didn't realize how great the color on the wall looked. So I went back and did it again. And I was like, oh, I actually like the color better. So, that was with the 17 1.2, it's 1/250th at f2.8. So it's one of the ones I really like. This one is a pretty common shot. A lot of people have done, Matt. I think when we were walking back, I had the 17 on as well. And I think I flipped it over in portrait mode to be able to get the top of the Transamerica building. And I set up just right along the edge of the street in live composite mode, and was able to get the cars where I didn't have a lot of bright headlights coming at me and just got some good light trails there. I really liked that I was able to pick up the glow of the taillights on the bus wires. And I've actually had that theme a couple times now in some other images I'm not sharing today, where I noticed that those wires pick up really good reflections of the lights. I in some of my Chinese New Year images, I got the same thing. So this one, I think I was like 1.6 second live composite, and I don't know how long I let it run, probably 20 or 30 seconds. It was f2.8 ISO 200 as well. This one, so this one I actually kind of shot from the hip using the 17 1.2. The people playing games, there's this park right across the street from the hotel. I think it's Portsmouth something park. And they play cards. They play this. It's basically the Chinese version of chess. And this guy was just standing there, very intent while he was playing. I kind of liked it. And I just stood there watching him for a few minutes with the camera at the side, and got a few images, and actually ended up really liking how this one turned out with the light, the shadows, and you could just kind of see his pretty intent on the game. This one was 1/60th, ended up f8. And ISO 200. I think I was in probably aperture priority mode on this one, so let it set the shutter speed for me. This one was when we went to Alcatraz, and on the Alcatraz tour. So the boy is actually doing the audio tour, and it was like fiddling with his headphones. His mom was kind of standing outside of the frame, but I just, I really liked, kind of the look of what he was listening to. If you're ever in San Francisco and you go to Alcatraz, I highly recommend doing the audio tour. It is quite an experience. They have voices of some of the prisoners that were actually in Alcatraz narrating, and they, have sounds in the background of the doors opening and shutting. So, and if you can do the night tour, even we didn't do the night tour, but the audio tour at night is quite an experience. So, and then this one I did is the Palace of Fine Arts. I think you're probably actually in this shot, Jamie. There's a group of people in the middle there that you can see, and that was when everybody was kind of standing there, and you were taking shots of the ceiling, and I think you were using Mike's Insta360, and so I went up to the other side with my 714. I think I was set up at about 12 millimeters there, and just shot the shot. Was able to get some stars, which is kind of unusual to be able to capture the stars in San Francisco at the same time as getting a building and things like that. So, and then the last one I want to share is actually a series of 3. This I did first night that Frank was just talking about when he was looking the other way, and I did a really wide pano. So I'll just kind of flip through these really quick. And I think this is about 12 images stitched together, and was able to get from, the Bay Bridge to the Golden Gate, and even Alcatraz, and some like Sausalito in the background. So I've reworked this one a few times. I think I ended up doing the color in the Nik software to do the final coloring on the image to pull out the colors of the sky. So that's pretty much all. I mean, I've got a ton more, but this is what I wanted to share today.
Wow. Okay, first, Palace of Fine Arts. We got there and you completely disappeared, and I don't think I saw you the entire time, and now I know why. That shot turned out killer, dude. That's awesome.
The thing I did on this one is I played with keystoning too, and I have just started doing that when I do wide angle shots to try to straighten it up a little bit in camera instead of having to do it in software, and you don't end up having to cut as much of your image off later on when you do the transform in Lightroom. Okay,
so question then. So keystoning gives you a JPEG. So how did you do the shot? Is this just a single JPEG? Like this is straight off the camera?
Yeah, this is straight out of camera, and I was trying to remember. I should pull it into Olympus Viewer because it told me that it was only 3.2 seconds, and I think it was a longer exposure than that, but maybe not.
Yeah.
It might. I thought it was a longer exposure, but judging by the movement of the people, that's probably about right because there's not a lot of movement if you look at the people there.
And do you know, were you shooting in manual? Just the exposure on it is just like perfectly spot on. And that's why I wondered, like, did you kind of have to play with it as a raw, but you said you keystoned, so it's JPEG, and I'm just thinking, nailed it.
Yeah, I'd have to go check. Now, I didn't realize that if you keystone in camera and you do the adjustment, it only records JPEGs.
Yeah, it gives you a JPEG, which is, you know, one of those reasons why I generally don't do the keystoning unless I know I can get the exposure right, which if you're in a city, lots of times you get, you know, shadows where you might want to bring out some detail, and trying to pull that from a JPEG is not like the funnest thing to try to do. So I've kind of avoided it. The new firmware update though, for the 8mm fisheye gives you a raw file that's corrected. So I don't know why we couldn't do that with keystoning, but very cool though, dude. And that pano is crazy. This is like the pano episode. I mean,
yeah.
You and Matt put together some bonkers panos. So you said before the show that you were just kind of running through print scenarios, and that if you were to do that as one continuous print, it would be, what'd you say, like 6 inches by 8 feet?
Yeah, the problem and the mistake I made is I was trying to get the image in something suitable to share on social media, and I finally came up on, well, I'll have to put it in 3 images. But so I cropped out a lot of water in the foreground, so I cropped it all out.
Right.
Well, I want to print it, and now that I look at printing it in this mode, it's only going to be like 6 inches tall. So I've got to go back and redo the image and reprocess it. Yeah. So the thing I learned is crop it don't crop it until you're ready to print. Right.
So you've determined your print aspect ratio.
Right. Exactly. So I cropped it, and then I did all the coloring, the Photoshop work, things like that. There was a few boats that I wanted to get rid of the lights on that just kind of blurred out the foreground that I didn't like. So that's what happened.
Cool. So I guess we're at our like time limit, but I'm going to keep going here for a minute at least here, because I just want to say that, and I have to mention this, and I don't know if Mike mentioned it on the show with Megan and Vicky, but I'm sure you guys have heard this from at least a couple of people from Olympus or the other members of the Visionary program, or somebody has to have said this to you guys. But our tech guy that was there, Eric, when Mike and I got there, Mike and I were talking to him, and he was talking about the group that they had there, you guys. And he said he was honestly expecting to have to field basic questions, or like more beginner questions, I guess, or whatever. And he was just floored by the stuff you guys were talking about, how technical everybody is, how much everybody knows about the equipment, and how much everybody knows about photography in general. Like, he said it was the most fun thing like this he's got to do yet, because he just got to have fun. He didn't have to answer any basics, he could talk at a high level with everybody, and everybody was totally on page with everything he talked about. And your guys' work just shows that. And I don't know if that's just it's the little bubble that I live in, this Olympus bubble. Our community is this way, but there's so much talent. And I think you guys just totally show the kind of community that Olympus has fostered here, that this group that we've got. And it's an honor to have you guys on the show and share the work that you guys make, because I think while the people that are in the program that I'm in, get some fanfare, I think that Olympus is starting to do a really good job of showing your guys' work, because people need to see what you guys make. And tonight's show, I think, further reinforces that Olympus has a strong user base. And if I think the other systems aren't taking notice of our community here, they should be, because you guys are awesome, man. This was great, because I've seen bits and pieces of everybody's stuff, because how social media is. The feeds just seem to be so fast. I go through like 1 million images a day, go through my screen, and it's hard to to keep track of everything that goes by. So I've seen bits and pieces of what you guys have made, but tonight was really, it was nice to really see what you guys did make out there. So this has been fun for me. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Thanks for having us on. I enjoyed it a lot. This is a great experience.
Yeah. And we're going to do this again, because what I kind of want to do, and I haven't even discussed it with Mike, I'm good for just coming up with stuff on the fly and blindsiding Mike with weird ideas. But I think what I'd like to do is everybody that we've had on that was part of this, event in San Francisco, maybe like to do like a 6-month follow-up and just kind of see where everybody is 6 months from now, like what new stuff they've done, if you've started projects or just new stuff you've been creating or new ideas that you've come up with. Because Matt, that was just insane, the drone photo. So yeah, so I guess we'll look at, maybe if you guys are open to it, I'd like to do like a 6-month kind of like anniversary, have you guys on again and just kind of see what you guys are up to. Because it was a good show. I really appreciate it, you guys.
All right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess I can hit the stop button now. Again, I just want to say thanks, you guys. Thank you to Olympus for putting together a phenomenal experience for everybody. And it was cool to be able to meet you guys in person, and hopefully we find a way to cross paths again, and shoot, because I didn't get to shoot necessarily closely with everybody. So I'd like to rectify that a little bit. And with that said, I guess goodbye.
Hey, Jamie, can I say one thing?
Yeah, totally. Yes, of course.
Yeah, just real quick, and maybe it'll sound like a sales pitch, but I say this all the time about photography, but it's way too much fun to be legal. All right, I say that always, but when it came to Olympus, I mean, I was talking to, I think, Tracy about it. I said, it's almost like cheating. I mean, because you look through there, you see where you're going to get, and it comes out right. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. So, I mean, those images, it almost felt like I was cheating. So it might be like an advertisement, but it's the truth. It's exactly how I feel.
Yep. Maybe their marketing team is watching this, and on next Valentine's Day, they'll do a promotion where they say it's almost like cheating. I don't know. Maybe that's a little too much. But anyways, thanks you guys again for coming on, and we'll be back in 2 weeks, maybe with some more guests. I'm not sure what we got planned, but we'll see you guys around, and we'll see you guys in 6 months. So take care, everybody.
All right. Appreciate it.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.